Hello friends, it's Alchem Gersh, Different Elves on Twitch and Twitter, and a proud member of the Uncommon Trust. This video is to give you a brief intro to the world of Ringweb, our short series that we did last year on the Uncommon Trust Presents on twitch.tv/QueueTimes. You can view this series on their YouTube channel, on the QueueTimes YouTube channel. But I just wanted to give a brief intro. We did because the world is a little unusual in this sort of science fantasy setting that we're using. It's Numenera from Monte Cook Games, using the Cipher system. Numenera is a world that's set a billion years in the future, after 8 civilizations have risen and fallen and left behind their various artifacts, which are seen as mystical, arcane, magical, by the people who inhabit the 9th world. Our story, Ringweb, is set in its own isolated area, so it bears a little explanation of how the basics of the world work, so that you can enjoy watching the episodes. Ringweb takes place in the location itself is referred to as the Ringweb externally. It's a tunnel that connects with itself, and hence the ring, and the inhabitants of this world live on a web-shaped structure, kind of like something that like a funnel web spider would make, that connects to the inside of this ring. The inhabitants of this world don't know that there's anything else out beyond it, and the people who created the space and evolved in it are seen almost as being kind of like progenitors or gods. The village itself is the village of today, is what it's called, and it is arranged around the outer edges of the ring, and there are the inside of the ring, and there is gravity that pushes out to the outer edges. The one interesting thing about the village of today, however, is that it's kept in constant movement. It's very slow movement, but it takes a year for the village of today to make a full circuit around the inside of this ring. There is part of it is because the village of today is nurtured by the light of tomorrow. And the light of tomorrow is an incredible power source that exists behind a shield that blocks off the tunnel and also moves with the village of today. And it is there is a focusing beam that allows some of the light to pass through the center of the core of the village of today. So when people look up, they see in the center, they see this core beam, which is set to different colors based on what point in the cycle or the day it is. So a year is referred to as a great cycle. The beam terminates at a tower, which is suspended at the edge of the village of today, opposite the shield that blocks the light of tomorrow. But this core beam is what illuminates the village and allows it to gain power and grow the various foods that they need. And because outside of the light of the core is what is yesterday, which is a wasteland. When the village moves outside of this area, what's left behind quickly changes to become almost, it ages at an accelerated pace. So the village is kept in movement in order to the light of today, the light of tomorrow moves. So the village of today needs to move to stay within the light of this core beam. So that's the basic geography. You've got this village that kind of moves in a circle, periodically. There are 2 types of people who are born in the village of today. There are the reborn, and the reborn are almost sort of clones or reincarnated folk who come back. They always come back physically the same way. But then there are also their descendants, who the bulk of the people of the village of today are the Ariadne, who are the descendants of these reborn. So those are the 2 types of people. There isn't a sort of rigid caste system, although there are some people who see the reborn as being evidence of the divine. So yeah, I'm trying to think what else is super important to think about. There's a big event at the once a year or once per great cycle where the Village of Today lines up with a door, with a portal, and there's a ritual then where the bodies of the dead, which are never supposed to be left behind in yesterday, are basically given. This portal opens and the bodies are taken through, but also this big event in the Great Cycle is also a time of incredible fertility and fecundity for the people of the Village of Today, and there are many children that are conceived almost immaculately on that day, and so these children who can be born, they can be born from typical your standard cis couple, but there are also examples of technology like artificial wombs that allow men or people of other genders to have children as well. So yeah, so let's talk a little bit about our characters. Some of the characters are reborn, and some of them are Ariadne. First up, we've got a pair of siblings. They're both reborn, so they are not, in fact, genetically related, but they were raised by the same parent, Baird Forrest, who is one of the elders. And Nico and Prolethea are these two characters. Nico, I think, is about 9 or 10, and she's very, very feisty and doesn't necessarily want to the previous incarnations of her, as she is a reborn, are famous for being a constable, a sort of lawgiver within the Village of Today. She is young and energetic and loves her brother and father very much, but is also very interested in growing up as fast as she can to see more of the world. And she's being played by Ash Minnick. Her brother, Prolethea, is an athlete. He is also a reborn. Previous incarnations of him were famous for being great seers and leaders, but he seems to be much more interested in playing this chase game, which is the most popular sport in the Village of Today, and it mimics the behaviors of the hunters who do go into the wastes of yesterday to hunt. So it's kind of like an obstacle course where people chase a sort of robot or a droid. An automaton of some sort. So yeah, there's conflict between these characters trying to live up to expectations based on their previous incarnations. Next up, we've got Naxos Stemwinder. Prolethea is played by our D'Artagnan Montaliano. Next up, we have Naxos Stemwinder, he's a famous entertainer, or his various incarnations have also been famous, and songwriter. But Naxos seems very happy to build on the expectations of people for that. And he's sort of the sort of face of the group. And then next up we have two Ariadne members of our group, one of which is Argan, played by Poisel, and they are an Ariadne who is descended from folks who are known for being scavengers who go out into go out into yesterday in order to find artifacts and things like that. They also had an encounter with the light of the core beam that transformed parts of their body into being mechanical or non-organic. And then last off, heading the group is the Guardian, and they are another Ariadne, older than a lot of these other kids. Naxos is 16, as is, I think, Prolethea is about 16 as well, as is Argan. And they're all in this sort of academy, which was originally built to educate people with the traditions of the reborn, of the old world. And the Guardian is someone who has recently succeeded the previous Guardian in watching over these children. So that's where our story starts. I hope this video has been helpful for you to understand some of the background of the story. There is some of the stuff gets re-explained in the stuff itself, but yeah, get ready, go ahead, dive into episode 1 of Ringweb, and look forward to the fact that we're going to be starting up with the sequel very soon, Children of Ringweb, on Uncommon Trust Presents here on twitch.tv/QueueTimes. Thank you.